Fear of money. I should start with my upbringing. My parents, when they were maybe in their 30s, my dad lost his house. My mum was running a business, but my mum grew up in poverty. So she's very business savvy, but she has this fear of money, and that was pushed onto me. So growing up, I saved everything, to the point where it was just nitpicking. Like I really shouldn't have behaved that way, but when I got older, it was still there as much as I tried to get rid of it. So I worked in a 3D art studio. I didn't ask for a pay rise for over a year, despite the fact that I was getting below minimum wage and that I was more skilled than the vast majority of 3D artists in the planet. Eventually, enough people were seeing my work and telling me, wow, this is amazing, that I decided to go part-time on my job and work on this little project that I had on the side. At that time, I called it Lucid Space Dream, and it was a virtual reality music visualizer in the early stages. So I thought, yeah, I could make something out of this. I think I should make a business out of this. So I told my boss I'd like to go part-time. He said, yeah, okay, after the end of 2 weeks, we can do that. And then he didn't give me any work. So I had no work. But the day that I realized I had no work, I had a contract offered to me by an architectural firm. They wanted me to make this 3D building, and so I did that for them. When I finished, another contract, out of the blue. So I had work going for me without looking for a job for about 3 months, and I was really happy, and I really believed God was looking after me. But then he put me through a test, and no work. No work, didn't have enough money to pay for rent and food. I had to ask my parents to borrow just so I could survive. For a good 2 weeks, I was frantically spending all my time looking for work, and nobody would respond. Nobody. And I was fully freaking out. And one night, I just hit that point where I was under so much anxiety, I just cried out to God. And this voice, that still small voice, just said, "Why are you fearing money?" And I was like, shit, what am I doing? I just remembered all the things that God had done for me. And I realized I was actually being sinful by not trusting him. I was insulting him. The God who created the universe, who couldn't even supply me with dollars. Why would I believe that? So I gave it up to him. I repented and I changed my mindset. And so I went to church the next day, and I managed to bump into some people, Bryce and Angela, a lovely couple from my church. And they asked me, "What do you do?" So I showed them some of the stuff I did, and they immediately said, "What can we do to help you?" And I was like, I didn't really understand the question, so I kind of shrugged it off and changed the subject. And they were like, "Oh, so this project, like this Space Dream thing, what do you need to get it done?" And I'm like, well, I'd probably need enough to pay for rent and stuff. And they're like, okay, can we help? And I was like, oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. So I shrugged them off. On Saturday, they phoned me up and they're like, "Hey Justin, we need to meet at a cafe, we want to talk to you." So I went to the cafe and they said, "I don't think you're understanding what we're trying to say. We're offering you money to create this project." And I was like, what? I didn't get it. My brain had been trained so much to fear money and to not expect anything from people and to only give money that I had never ever thought about how I could receive money. So they ended up offering me 10 grand on the spot, no strings attached. Me being myself, I couldn't agree to that, so I offered them 30% of what I'd make from it. And they said no. They said, "We know you're probably going to force us to take something, so the most we're going to take is 20%. So I was like, 20% it is. And from that day, I was free. I went home just thrilled that I could start creating whatever I wanted. out of the whole world. I could do whatever I wanted and people would pay me to do it. So I was just ecstatic, and I had a very late night that night, as you can imagine, because I was working. And I had a dream that I was a fish, this like big fish in a lake, but I had been stuck in a small puddle, and someone had come along and picked me up and thrown me into the deep water. And then I had a dream of this Atlantis area, this beautiful underwater place. And I woke up that morning and I was praying to God, just in so much appreciation for him, just sitting on the balcony, watching the sunrise. And I saw it again. I saw that Atlantis place. So I called my sponsors and I told them my plan at the start is to do something underwater. That's what I'm going to do for this full game. And Angela said, "Oh, really? That's funny. I had a dream last night of this place like Atlantis." So I drew it for her, and she's like, "Yeah, that's the place. I saw that in my dream." So, man, that was just confirmation. And I've really been trying my best to rely on God and the visions that he shows me to create this game. And he's just put blessing after blessing in my way. I've been working on it for 1.5 years. They paid enough for me to last maybe 6 or 7 months. After that time period ran out, I was stupid and I started fearing money again. It didn't last as long this time. It only lasted 2 days before I realized my errors and changed my ways. And within about, I think I timed it, it was only 7 hours from the point where I realized that I was being stupid to the point where I was offered 7 grand by a friend of mine, and I didn't ask for it. Offered 7 grand because she said that she had some money set aside on her super and that she was legally able to take it out. My parents helped pitch in after that point as well, and my friends decided to help me out and pay for the marketing of the game after it's finished. But in regards to finances, totally trust God. I honestly think God won't actually help you out if you don't trust him, because that's just insulting. If you're not truly trusting in him, then you need to get your act together and list all the things that he's done in your life, including the very fact that you're alive, and think about those things and just think, okay, the person who created quantum physics, the Big Bang, cosmology, and human DNA, is he capable of providing me with dollars? Maybe. But once you have that, as long as you're trusting that still small voice in your heart and you follow that, you will be looked after. More than that, you will be blessed beyond compare. Since starting on Space Dream, I was number 1 in popularity on the HTC Vive port for a good 3 months over Christmas. And every couple days, something crazy happens, and I just get blessed in so many ways. So that's how I guess I overcame fear of finances, and now I don't even care if I have $1 in my bank.